So we're coasting through the week again. That means it's Wednesday. And Mr. Goblin 3D printed this awesome Xenamorph Ducky. He's so cute. And he's gonna sit on his little pond of acidy, mucky stuff. He's so sweet, but careful he'll bite. Hello everyone and welcome to NERDGOBLIN Art. I'm Lula. We've got out some Let's Resin neons. We've got green and lemon. We also have the cyan greeny yellow heat color changing from Let's Resin, and also we have forest green mica powder, and I've also pulled out this lovely green glittery stuff that I don't know where it came from anymore. I'm using Apex Resin from Apex Resin. They've now changed their name, and I've mixed up around 6 fluid ounces, and we are going to split the cups. It's already been mixed up. I used my Isotoyo Mixer, but please remember that if you're using a mixer, to still give it a stir so you ensure that all your resin is thoroughly mixed in together. Right, I'm splitting it into cups so that we can give it a nice pour. We're going to be pouring the cups in separately. I did consider using my split cup, but on this occasion I thought, nah, let's just pour it in and see what happens, because that's the fun thing, isn't it? I'm also going to be adding the addition of glow-in-the-dark powder. Again, I'm not entirely sure where that powder came from, but I will look it up, and if I can find the link, it will be included in the description box below. Also in that description box are discount codes, and in particular there is one, as I'm using Apex Resin, there is a money off there, and that is across all products. So I'll pop it up on the screen, but it will be down there as well. It's important to note, in particular with the neon powders, when mixing them into the resin, they can be very bitty. Now, if you do have a pestle and mortar, which I don't have, you can grind that powder in and it will be a lot better for mixing. I will be getting one at some point, but I keep forgetting, so hopefully I'll remember and I'll order one. So you just got to be really careful, because it is going to be very, very bitty. And you can see here I am mixing it really well. And if you are mixing up several cups at a time, you will have to check your mixtures before you pour them, because it is likely, and it does happen here, a few unmixed pieces float up to the top. So just bear that in mind. But pestle and mortar is definitely the way forward with these kind of powders, but they work great, they really do. I absolutely love working with neons, and that's both in resin work and in painting. I use a lot of the luminous paints. I've used them in other makes that I've done on this channel as well. So those are all mixed in, and I'm going to be adding the mica powder now. It's the darker element to the rest of them. Mica powders have got a little bit of a shimmer to them, which is very nice. I wasn't entirely sure if this was the right tone of green, but you know, we'll go with it. There's still a lovely, if you can see there where I'm mixing, yes, it's green, but you can see a bit of a gold flecks to it as well, which is very appealing. As I'm not using any powders within the mould, I'm going to give it, there you go, I'm giving it a spray with some isopropyl alcohol. That helps with any bubbles. Not using a debubbler today, because I do really love this product Apex resin is fantastic at debubbling, and because it's the type of mould it is as well, you can clearly see, you can see pretty well anyway. Oh, look at that glow in the dark. I absolutely love that. That's the lemon. That is awesome. Oh, so cool. You can obviously continue to use a bit more isopropyl alcohol. You can use your heat gun as well. And a silicone tool is also a good idea to run around the lip of the coaster too. I do wish that it was going to keep this kind of style the way it looks at the moment, but you know, resin does as resin does, so it doesn't, but still, it's still very cool at the end, so I'm still happy. So while this is curing, Mr. Goblin has very kindly agreed to paint the Ducky Xenamorph for me. So here's his YouTube debut. Be kind to him, it's not something he's ever done before.
Hello everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to my part of the contribution to this little project. And my wife's asked me to help out, so I've printed the little XenoDuck on my filament printer with a nice sort of satiny filament. Now, I was trying to think of the best way to approach this because people kind of paint the Xenomorph with shades of purple or even brown, but I've kept it simple. So what I've decided to do is I've decided just to use kind of like two tones of black, one on the armored areas, one on the skin type areas, just to see if I can help give it a bit of a distinctive pop. So yeah, so the first one I'm going to use is like a shiny oily black. That is the Abaddon black that you see now, and the second one is going to be a more grey matte black, and I'm going to use that on the skin areas with the oily black, like I said, on the armored areas. Now normally when I paint, I would ideally mount what I'm going to paint miniature wise on top of like a little painting handle or something, but for the purpose of this project, this print is big enough for me to handle, and by the time the paint starts drying on the one side, I'll be giving it its second coat as it dries in no time at all. So I'm going to go over the armored areas, the carapace areas with that oily black, the Abaddon black. And then I'm going to go over the flesh type areas with the Corvus blacks. And I'm going to probably give it 2 to 3 coats in total. Usually I would just do 1 coat at a time and let it dry, but I'm quite happy and confident with painting as it dries as I go along.
Color chaos in my head, brush strokes dance where canvas bled. Resin pools make rivers wild, clay sculpts dreams like a child. Layers thick with frantic love, paint drips down a sky above. Hands so messy, heart so clean, art dark machine fueled by caffeine. I created midnight's glow, blended whispers no one knows, resin dripping to the floor, clay and paint forevermore. Fingers work in silent screams, brushes swirl in broken dreams. Color bursts just like a storm, resin glazes clay reborn. I created midnight's glow, blended whispers no one knows, resin dripping to the floor, clay and paint forevermore. Fractured visions come alive, mixed media makes me thrive. Art's a space where chaos sings, you woven through the strings. Fractured visions come alive, mixed media makes me thrive. Art's a space where chaos sings, beauty woven through the strings.
You're the shadows of my room, I find chilling tales of twisted minds. Echoes whisper through the night, with every frame my heart ignites. Dark obsession fills the air, in the screen I see despair. Patterns in the haunting show, in the chaos I feel whole. Lights go dim, the story start, chasing chills that grip my heart. Pieces of a shattered soul, in the chaos I feel whole, whole. Lights go dim, the story start, chasing chills that grip my heart. Pieces of a shattered soul, in the stories I feel whole, whole. Veins gone cold with every tale, wicked truths behind the veil. In the darkness I reside, with these tales I won't confide. Dark obsession fills the air, in the screen I see despair. Patterns in the haunting show, in the chaos I feel whole. Twisted scenes that drive me near, every word a whispered fear, brings me closer to the edge. With each story I allege.
See the sun, it's rising slow, Feel the warmth, the gentle glow. Wave hello to folks you meet. Share a smile on every street. Life's too short for looking down. Give a hand, don't wear a frown. Lift your spirit, be a friend. Kindness never has to end. Just say hello, brighten the day. Make someone's road a bit less gray. Spread the love wherever you go. Just say hello and let it show. Morning coffee standing tall. Help a neighbor with a call. Always greet them with a grin. Let the good vibes just begin. Turn the world to a better place. Small acts heal the human race. Every greeting, every cheer makes the darkness disappear. Just say hello, brighten the day. Make someone's road a bit less gray. Spread the love wherever you go. Just say hello and let it show. Turn the world to a better place. Small acts heal the human race. Every greeting, every cheer makes the darkness disappear.
Now that the model's had time to dry, hopefully you can see the difference in the contrast between the two blacks, especially if you look at the top of the head and like the neck with the fleshy area, and then again on the ducky wings. Hopefully that contrast between the two blacks will still be there afterwards. Now I'm going to use a darker grey. This is called Eshin Grey, I believe. To not quite dry brush, it's more of what we call like an overbrush. It's because of the curves on the model, it's actually kind of a bit fussy to dry brush. But I'm going to build up the tones a little bit slowly anyway, using this overbrushing method. Like I said, it's like a dry brush, but a little bit more damper, a little bit more heavier. You want it to kind of be almost scrappy looking. And so I'm going to go over all of the areas on all of the panelings, the head, the fleshy bits, with these greys. And as it's such a small amount, I'm going to do the same thing with when I start to layer up on the overbrushing. But to try and give it a bit more of a gradient, so I won't be as heavy. So now I'm going to use a lighter grey just to go over what I put over with the darker grey. This grey I believe is Dawnstone, and again I'm just trying to kind of build up the highlights a little bit, nothing special, and you definitely don't want to overdo it just because it will stand out. So again I'm going to go over all of what I've done before, but just to a much more finer degree. You can see I'm being a lot more precise and a lot more delicate with my application now. You don't want to spoil his makeup job, do you? And for his last bit of makeup, for his lipstick, I'm going to apply a bit of silver paint. This silver is a much darker silver. I wouldn't even say dull, it's still quite shiny and reflective, but it's on such a small surface, you barely see it. So I'm going to go over basically his teeth. Apparently off camera, I do apologise. But yeah, it's primarily his teeth, and it was a lot of precise work that required the use of my glasses. And then what I'm going to do with that silver is I'm going to get a small dry brush, and just on the actual armoured segments where I put that oily black, just in those reflective areas, I'm going to give it a little bit more of a dry brush with that silver, just to try and make it pop a little bit more. And at times you probably see me kind of like smudge and smear it just like you did there. I find it helps with, you don't want to overdo it putting the silver on, because then it just looks like silver. So you really want to smudge it on. But I also find it helps just to give it almost like a blending effect. So I'll go over just certain areas, but primarily those armoured areas with that silver, just to try and make him stand out from the crowd. So that's kind of the base coats and base highlights done. I'm quite happy with him. Overdone a little bit on the top, but I'm gonna put on a wash. A wash is basically watered down acrylic, but what it does is it helps fill up the recesses so it can help create really good shadows, which isn't an issue on this model, let's face it. But what it does help do is it does tone down a lot of colors. So where I did overdo it a little bit with the silver, it's gonna pull it back that little bit. But another thing the wash does is it can help tie colors together. So if you've got a lot of different contrasting colors on a miniature, it can look really garish and stand out. But just by putting the wash over, it seamlessly pulls the two colors together, and it's absolutely fantastic when you see it work that way. Which is why a lot of miniature painters refer to washes as magic in a bottle, because it saves you having to do all the blending work. This particular wash is a wash called Nuln Oil. It's kind of like a watered down black wash, but it's given, this one in particular has been given a glossy effect to help make it shine. So I'm going to apply this just all over the model. So it will mute down those colors that I've done just a little bit. It's going to help pull everything together, and it's going to make him shine like a pair of pearly whites, sorry, I meant to say pearly teeth, shiny teeth. Oh, there we are. So it takes about 45 minutes for the wash to actually dry up properly, and then you can really see the difference. I was wary of losing a lot of the contrast between the two different blacks that I used, the oily black, the shiny black, and the grey black, because basically I've glossed up that non-glossy side of it. But there is still a contrast there. You can definitely see it in person. It just doesn't stand out the way I was hoping it to. But like I said, I was wary it was going to happen. So all I'm going to do now is, where I've done the overbrushing before and the dry brushing, I'm just going to give it another very light brushing just to try and make sure those highlights pop again. So again, just being a little bit more precise, a little bit more finer with how much pressure I'm putting on there. Really just trying to catch those edges a little bit more. And I'm going to go all over. Just to try and get him to stand out that little bit more. So I'm obviously using the same darker grey that I used, which was, I believe, the Eshin grey. And then as soon as he's dried, I'll go over him again, just to the more extreme point with the lighter grey.
I'm just dipping into this part of the video because Martin does go a little bit quiet, just to say thank you to my subscribers and my members. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that button. We're worth it, I promise, and you'll enjoy what we create. There's also the opportunity to join our memberships. It's $3.99 a month and it gives you early access to at least one video a week. You'll get a monthly exclusive and you do get sneak peeks and the access to the Nerd Goblin albums.
And finally, I'm going to use a little bit of that silver again, just to go over those peak reflective points. Again, pretty much primarily just on the armored pieces. And again, that smudging can work wonderfully sometimes. It really can, just to help make it all blend in. And then in minutes he'll be dry and ready to finish up. Finally, I'm going to add a little bit of drool to his mouth. Just a little bit of drool with some Uhu glue. Just a really malleable glue with a good chunk of working time. It can take a long time to set properly. And with how I'm using it, I think it can be a little bit brittle when it does dry, so you got to be careful afterwards. And then just squirting some on my palette and then using something like a toothpick just to kind of like get it on. It's been a while since I've actually done it, so I was quite careful and very, very like moderate with how much I was using. But I'll go back in a minute and I'll add more. And then I think afterwards my wife added even more just to make him look really, really hungry basically. XenoDuck needs his food after all. I did contemplate messing about with adding a bit of a red, paint to the Uhu glue, but just because it's been a long time since I've messed with it, I erred on the side of safety. But maybe next time I can show him post-dinner drool. So after it's all set and dried, this is the final result. I'm very, very happy with it. Yeah, you can still see that the shiny blacks stand out from the matte blacks. Not as much as I wanted, but I still think it works. And yeah, with that, I'll leave you to it, and it'll be back over to my wife. Bye-bye.
Well, I think he did wonderfully, and as he is a huge Alien and Aliens fan, I felt the need for him to paint this one up, and he's done an awesome job. So, whilst he was busy painting that, this has cured, and fingers and toes crossed is going to look good. Yeah, I am pleased with it. I am a little bit disappointed that the forest green kind of took over a little bit. And I should have thought of that, to be honest with you. I should have used a lot less of that in it. So I need some gloves to start finishing this up. And as if by magic, we have my gloves. So I'm going to be using some UV resin. I'm using J Diction. It is my favourite and go-to currently. And I've just added some spring green. I wanted a slightly different tone to the rest of his, of the acid pit. Acid pit. It sounded rude at first, didn't it? Just to give the impression that this XenoDucky is moving through fluid, basically, so it's like a little bit of a distortion. So I'm just adding that in, and we'll build up on a few different tones just to create the idea. I will use at first my UV torch, but I will also use an actual lamp just to make sure it is absolutely set and there's nothing underneath that is still a little bit like spludgy. The reason I use the torch is just to basically make sure that nothing goes running off anywhere. I didn't want it to overtake, obviously, the colours that are already on the coaster. But I'm making sure as well to get some of the UV resin around the back of the XenoDuck too. Anything, like you just saw, I wiped away if I wasn't happy with where it landed. And the other thing as well, doing this, instead of using any glues, the little ducky stays in place as well, so he's a permanent fixture on this large coaster. So next I'm introducing a little bit of interference green. I'm not worried about cleaning out the little silicone dish that I'm using. I didn't know what to call it then. So it's just to add a slight different tone to it. I'm not really after really clear white, because it wouldn't be clear white because it's an acidy, gooey, swampy mess. So that is just the next bit that we're adding on. And I'm also going to add these beads. I think they were Temu, and they were advertised basically as like bubbles. They're not beads in the sense for actually threading, for making it jewelry or anything. They're fully, there's no holes in them basically. And I added that to the mixture because it's given us a really cool effect. Quite bubbly, and it's really cool. It's almost like frog spawn type thing, so kind of gross and cool all at the same time. And you can see there as well that I'm making sure to go around the back of the XenoDuck as well. Just being careful and using this stirring stick to go around and wiping up anything that I don't want to land in certain places. So next I'm just using Let's Resin white mica powder. Again, not mixing anything else into this. It has had a wipe over, and I'm not gonna be using all of this on this model. This is gonna act to give us the idea of motion. So, you know, like an actual duck moves through water, it's more of the ripple effect. So not going crazy with it. As you can see, I'm being particular where I'm placing it. It's actually really enjoyable doing this. It's just putting it down, and I'm fully aware that because it is the UV resin, that if I'm not overly fond of the placement, I can just wipe it away, which is really cool. I'm really pleased with that placement. So what I'm doing here on Martin's wonderful painting is I'm just adding a little bit of the neon green powder. I'm not going crazy, I'm just putting it into the recesses of the model. Is it needed? Not really, but for the sense of the model, I think it works and it looks really good. You'll see at the end with the glamour shots. If you wait right to the end, there's actually some pictures with this fully in glow mode. So this is the end of the making of the XenoDuck coaster. You know, it is a large coaster, so you know, it becomes more of it can be used as a trinket dish perhaps. It's absolutely perfect for people who are fans of the Alien movies and like the quirky, crazy stuff. I think he is awesomely cute. I really love it. And he's going to be featuring, I think, in our living room. Somewhere to put some spare change or take it off watches or such. So I hope you enjoyed Mr. Goblin's contribution to the video. He was very nervous and I think he did awesome. So hang around for the glamour shots at the end. Really pleased with this one, especially if you want to see the glow in the dark aspect. And I can't speak apparently. Hope you're inspired. I hope you enjoyed watching. Love you. And stay weird.
In a room full of colors and swirls, Nerd Goblin art draws a magic world, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance, a whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide, in enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush, animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirling paint, creatures so pure they need no saint. Sketches of foxes with tails of light, badgers with moonlit fur in flight.